Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Legends Talk, where we dive deep into the basketball culture and we unlock stories and journeys that are icons who shaped the basketball world. Today is a very special day. We're honored to have a true pioneer in basketball media joining us, recently inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, Mr. Dennis Page, the founder of Slam Magazine. Yeah, that Slam Magazine. For over 2 decades, Slam has been more than just a magazine. It's been a cultural phenomenon, an essential guide, and some might call it the basketball Bible for fans and players alike. With its innovative storytelling and vibrant visuals, Slam has not only chronicled the game, but also played a crucial role in bridging basketball and urban culture. Dennis's vision has transformed how we consume basketball content, from gritty street ball features to spotlighting high school phenoms. His passion for the sport and his dedication to storytelling have set new standards in the way that we see basketball media. Slam Magazine is a staple for basketball lovers around the globe. Join us as we explore Dennis's remarkable journey, the challenges he's faced, some insights into the future of basketball media. Prepare to be inspired as we welcome Mr. Dennis Page to Legends Talk. But before we get to that, we are going to shout out Solepack, who's the sponsor for Legends Talk. Shout out to Solepack, man. They got some some great merchandise over there. Some bags that are terrific, man. Make sure you go to their website, check out their website, order your bag, tell them Cal Griffin sent you. But without further ado, let's get to Soul Pack so we could get this interview with Dennis underway.
Solepack.
Yeah, we got our first NBA bag, and people are like, yo, that's crazy, man. I remember coming home and telling my mom, I was like, yo, mom, we made it.
We created a backpack for Allen Iverson. I seen that Solepack, they had these bags. I thought they were pretty fly.
We reach out to that true baller, right? The person that wakes up at 5 in the morning and dedicates their whole lives for the love of what you do. My name is Mike Sala. I'm the founder and CEO of Solepack, and this is my hustle.
All right, guys, that was Soul Pack. Make sure you follow them on social media at Soul Pack. Make sure you go on to the website at thesoulpack.com. And without further ado, Mr. Dennis Page. Dennis, what's going on, man?
What's up, my guy?
How you doing?
Very good. That's quite an introduction you gave me there.
Hey, man, you deserve that and then some. But
thank you.
But before we get started, Dennis, man, first and foremost, man, I'd like to say congratulations to you and the Slam family for your induction into the Basketball Hall of Fame, man. You put in the hours, the dedication, the hard work, and you're a true Hall of Famer now, man. More than 300 million magazines have been sold since 1994, and now you stand at the mountaintop as the guy who made it all happen, man. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's kind of remarkable, but I'll soak it in and take it in stride. I'm gonna act like I belong, right?
Absolutely. That's the way to do it.
Yep.
But yeah, man. So I definitely didn't play the intro, but yeah, it's all right. It's all right. We're gonna play this intro real quick, and then we're gonna get right into the interview, man. Bear with me.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dennis. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come on board, man, and chop it up with me.
Let's do it. I love the intro. You got all the right guys in it. So you skipped a few, but
yeah, I could, couldn't fit everybody in there.
Exactly, a certain amount of time.
Yeah, we'll get him on the next go round.
Okay.
But yeah, man, again, man, Hall of Fame, man. How did that feel to be honored by the Hall of Fame, the Basketball Hall of Fame, and to be recognized in this way?
Like I said earlier, remarkable. I never expected it. I never thought about it. I didn't know anything about that Kirk Gowdy Award until it kind of happened. To me, the Hall of Fame, like, I had my little speech up there. It's for players mostly.
Right.
Got coaches, and that's a lot of people. So I don't really think of media. I don't think of writers. I don't photographers. I just, we're on the outside, but it's a game built on players first and foremost. So never even thought about it ever.
Right.
Until it happened.
Now we're gonna rewind all the way to the beginning, man. Can you share a little bit about your journey into the publishing business and what were your initial steps that kind of led you to founding Slam Magazine?
All right. I mean, I've told this story a lot of times. It's well documented. It's a pretty lengthy story in our Slam book, 30 Years of Slam. Basically, I kind of stumbled into publishing out of college. I originally wanted to be a disc jockey. I'm really a music guy first. Soul music is my thing, and basketball. So I ended up in publishing, trying to get into working with either a record company or becoming a disc jockey. So I got really good at publishing. My first magazine was in around 1980 called Guitar World. I don't know shit about guitars, but it was sort of tangential to music. I was like, let's do it. Let's try it out. Got really good. Hung around at that company, and fast forward 10 years, tried a bunch of different things, always checking out hoops, living in New York, watching the Kennys and Adrian Autry, Mashburn, just guys hooping in the city. I go to high school games, Kenny later on, just loving hoops, and then I had a friend of mine worked at a record company named Alan Grumblatt. We knew each other through Guitar World. He had the record company had like a lot of guitar dudes, but whenever we hung out, we talked about hoops. He's a crazy Nets fan.
Right.
So we just hung out, and the hip hop magazines, I spoke about this in my speech the other night, were The Source, had been around for a minute, and Vibe had been out, I think, for 2 issues. So he goes, yo, why don't you start a hip hop basketball magazine? I'm like, what? That makes no sense. I think what he meant was a hip hop magazine like The Source, and then you threw some hoopers in there. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I went home that night, and when you build a magazine, you do a sample table of contents. So I went home thinking of all the rappers or R&B artists, whatever, that wrote about basketball. I couldn't come up with anything.
Right.
So like light bulb went off. I'm like, yo, Sports Illustrated, Street and Smith. I'm going to make a sports magazine like The Source. Stay with me. And I'm like, no. The only thing that matters to me is basketball. I don't give a shit about football, baseball, golf. SI did a lot of golf, auto racing. I'm like, nah. It's a basketball magazine like The Source. But Vibe, what they had been doing was they had this beautiful photography. And I'm like, I'm going to shoot everybody like Vibe. Crystallized, went in the office the next day, started mapping it out with my Guitar World art director, Susan Conley, and just visualized it. A few days later, got the go-ahead from the owner of the company, and the rest is history. There you go. That's it. It's just how it happened. Just like
That's incredible, man. To be
Yeah.
at the point where you're kind of breaking ground on these ideas for the first time.
Yep.
I couldn't imagine even starting what I'm doing without having, the slam template kind of there for me. But
Yep. Well,
with
the thing was also, don't forget, SI, Street and Smith also, which I read, Street and Smith basketball, they did a football one, they did a baseball one. So I would read Street and Smith basketball, and I'd only look at the high school dudes,
Right.
who was coming up. So every player, since I was probably 11 or 12 years old, cats like Spencer Haywood and who was coming up back then when I was, like played at Pershing High and, so many guys, it's like endless. And then watching, Kenny and all these guys getting ranked, they'd have first team all the way to 10th team, and guys like Len Elmore and all the OG high school guys, before Rod Strickland, whoever was ranked. And I'm like, who are these fucking guys? No internet. And
Right.
that fascinated me. Quick rewind. I spoke about it in my speech. I had seen Lou Alcindor play. I was around 12 years old or so. He had come down from Power Memorial down to Trenton, where I'm from, and they played a school called Trenton Catholic. And that just blew my mind. I'm like, who's this Lou Alcindor dude? Later on becomes Kareem once he went Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at UCLA. So just fascinated by high school dudes, always. Then going to games all through Jersey, guys you never heard about, Brian Taylor and Gary Brokaw that went to Notre Dame. Brian played at Princeton, later for the Nets, and just following high school guys and watching them come up. So when I conceived of slam, this is key. It wasn't just NBA. So I had college dudes, high school. I'm like, I cared as much about the sneakers and fashion and how they wore their gym shorts and whatnot. So it was this whole basketball, they call it culture now. There was no culture then. It was just basketball.
Right.
How you went in the park, how you dressed, how you played. And that was the original vision. So, we put it on paper, and I hired my first editor, Corey Johnson, and, we were off.
Now, that like early on, right? There had to been, some challenges that you faced. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced, in the early days, and how were you able to kind of overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, the first challenge was, hey, I'm this dude from this guitar magazine. So I sent out flyers and stuff. I got a letter back from Sonny Vaccaro, who was doing ABCD camp at that time, wrote me back a letter. Yo, this sounds great. So it sort of gave me the confidence, but we called on advertisers. Nobody understood it. Nobody, fucked with us. So it's very hard to sell advertising and very hard to get, articles done. They were like, huh, well, I don't get this. So I did a brochure. I kind of showed them visually. It's like an 8-page brochure of what it would look and smell like. Had the original logo for, I think the first 3 issues had this different logo, and they sort of got it. We had maybe, Foot Locker in the first issue, Reebok, some pretty decent advertisers. And a lot of the, college players, high school players were like, yeah, sure, sounds cool. But no NBA players would really do interviews with us. Certainly no photo shoot. So that's why the first issue with Larry Johnson has an action photo. So we went to the NBA and bought action photos because that's all we could get. So it's really hard early on.
Right,
And
right. So you guys licensed.
Yeah, we had no reputation in that space.
Right. You were able to license those photos.
We bought the photos for usage. I think the first issue had, I think my punks was Steve Wojciechowski, maybe. I can't remember, LJ. We did a thing on Roderick Rhodes, who's like the LeBron. He was the best
Kentucky, right?
player in the country at St. Anthony's.
Did he go to Kentucky?
He went off to Kentucky. Yep, he was in the
Yeah.
first issue. Jason Kidd, his first year at Cal. But, we call him on the phone. Nothing in person or anything. Hey, this is Corey or this is writer X from Slam. What's Slam? No, it's this new cool basketball magazine. Can we just talk to you? And they didn't know better. No one else gave a shit about Jason Kidd. So we were there first to actually interview them. LJ, we kind of stumbled upon through Converse. So we got some time with him. We flew a writer down, no photo shoot. And they sort of got the idea. And then once we published the first issue, it got a little bit easier. Once they saw the actual magazine.
Right. You needed something
That
tangible.
sample copy, right.
Right,
And then
right.
it got easier, but it was never easy early on.
So early on, you guys put some copies of the magazine on the shelves. Did it kind of immediately take off? Was it a slow grind? How did that go?
Good question. So the newsstand business. So when you put a magazine out for sale, it usually takes you 3 months to find out how it's sold. So the first issue, I had enough advertising to go forward with the second issue. So we went ahead, did the second issue. That's the one with, I think it's the first basketball diary with Stephon Marbury. We had a fashion shoot at Lincoln. That's the first time I ever met Steph, which was amazing. We're still pretty tight to this day. And I had the first issue with me, so they're like, oh, okay, I get this. And Joe Hammond was also in the first issue. That was cool. But so by the time we finished the second issue, we had learned that the first issue did pretty good. Not amazing, but pretty damn good. So now finished the second one, put that one out. Second one, I think, was Sean Kemp. Now we're into the third one. Corey Johnson, my first editor, he leaves. He goes to Vibe. And then I bring on Tony Gervino, editor number 2. And that's when we just start ramping up. I think Shaq is issue number 3, if I'm not mistaken. And now I'm bringing on a new team, kind of getting a little success, more advertisers. It's a slow build, man. Newsstand's slow. It's a slow grind.
Just like anything.
Like anything, nothing's changed. So we're building, making friends, making enemies. NBA didn't love us. Making noise and just growing, like brick by brick.
No, of course, man.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there was there's no social media at the time, at all.
Nothing.
Nothing, right? It's pretty much kind of copy by copy here.
Yep.
But can you recall a kind of a defining moment where you're saying, "Shit, we got something," and the fire is starting to really take form here?
Yeah, I think the pivotal moments way early on were first letters started rolling in. People write letters. There's no DMing, no texting, and no cell phones. I think we had Blackberries, maybe 1994, maybe 95. So letters are rolling in from all over the world. I'm like, what? People all over the world, country, cats in prison that were checking for it. Somehow it ended up there in libraries. And we're getting bags of letters. I'm like, this is crazy. And then I think Adidas came on. Reebok pulled out. Adidas came on the back cover. Maybe Nike. Once I cracked Nike, I'm not sure, issue 6 or 7. They came in on the inside front cover. That was hard. I knocked on their door every day, like, yo, because that was the pinnacle for advertising. So once Nike came on, I was like, okay,
we got something.
They're the king. And then Reebok came. Reebok had come in, then pulled out, then they came back. So once I had Reebok, Nike, Adidas, the big 3, I'm like, okay, it's moving. And then Iverson, comes out. He signs at Reebok. Stefan goes with and one early on. And one starting to blow up a little bit. No street ball yet, but and one. And now you feel the culture growing. And, I'm very New York centric. So we're watching,
Right.
Steph goes off to Georgia Tech. Felipe was a year ahead of him. He went to St. John's. Now they're going to the pros. These are our guys. KG embraces us. KG and Steph cover. I'm like, okay. But I never stopped, honestly. I never said, we got this.
Right.
Never, 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 even to this day, 30 years later. Like,
Right.
just going. We're just going and making it, having fun.
Still grinding.
Still grinding, doing crazy shit because we didn't know better. Letting them, do their thing and just like letting the players be themselves and embracing hip hop and I call it the hip hop generation. All those kids that grew up in it, and we just, a lot of luck too. Just right place, right time. EBC, is starting to pop off. Rucker Park, so we're there. We have a team. You have to remember, like EBC was dead, 94. I think we finally jumped on that bandwagon, maybe 96, when I connected with Greg Marius, and now we're up at Rucker Park, and it's just like,
things start moving.
And Mousie's like a little kid at that time, and players coming in the park, and Stefan's playing down there, and then you got the Kobe's and watching Skip develop up at Rucker Park, and then he goes off to Fresno and Lamar Odom, and it's New York. New York is what it's about.
It's New York City.
We were in New York. Nike was all about New York, embracing New York. Rucker Park, and it's this perfect storm that we captured, and we were just there. We were just covering it, just like what you do now. Same thing, and it was printed media, no competition, no internet, no nothing. It was just I always say this: we were the internet before the internet. So it was really, we were alone doing this thing.
Hey, that's incredible. Because from the other end, I'm as a consumer, being a teenager at that time, going to my local newsstand and breaking it open, seeing what's new. That's the first time I've seen a person like Jason Kidd, on the other side of the country, doing his thing. And
again, we're hearing about these guys. I saw Jason Kidd on television his senior year in high school. Sean Kemp, I saw him in high school, but a lot of, they're not even on TV unless they make the tournament. So there's like, ESPN's not even that big a deal. There's, NBA was not even like huge, like all the games. So you're not seeing these guys. Shea Cotton. I think Shea's in my first issue. So I heard about him out in LA as the best high school player in the country. So I found, what the hell's his name? Shit, I'm drawing a blank. He's a king, the LA grassroots dude. I'll think of it. So I had to find him, and you're like calling people and, how do I get in touch with Shea? He's like, no problem. I got him. I'll do a shoot. I had Shea Cotton, Paul Pierce, and Tayshaun Prince in a photo shoot. They send the photos. I'm like, go. And then of course Scoop came aboard. Scoop, I think, is issue number 3. So
that was huge. So that was huge.
Once I got Scoop in, then he connected, and the way he wrote, and he really changed it for us. But I found Scoop. We disagree on the story, but I found Scoop through this guy, Ray O'Neal. I needed the Nike high school camp. I think it was in Chicago or Indianapolis. I'm not sure. So they connected me with Scoop. I'm like, yo, I don't know you, but I need a story on the Nike camp. He's like, I got you. I said, what you know about hoops? He goes, I got you. Boom, wrote it, went down, handed it in. Rest is history with Scoop. So
Wow.
just connecting all these dots. But it was hard because there's no internet. I don't even know how I
Absolutely.
found these dudes. You're dialing on your phone. Like, hello, you don't know me, but
Right. The
I got this.
rotary phone at that.
I got this. What the craziest thing is 30 years later that there were young kids. I touch on this in the Hall of Fame speech a little bit, but there were kids like I was a little older, but kids like you all over the world that had never had seen anything to talk about basketball that related to them.
Right.
You're not buying Sports Illustrated. It doesn't talk to you.
Right.
And that is what changed the game. But I didn't know that there were people like us. I'm just going to high school games watching, whoever was playing at the time. I didn't think there were people all over the whole world into it like us. Yeah, they're into Mike.
Right.
Yeah, everybody's into Mike.
The
But
mainstream.
yeah, mainstream. Thank you. But I didn't know there was like deep culture for sneakers, high school, college, like really, real hoop heads. I didn't
Right.
think there was any more people other than me. I don't know Tom Konchowski, Ron Leclario. I don't even know these guys. Sonny Vaccaro, I know. I know of. And then I met Sonny at ABCD. Once I started going to ABCD, and then, I saw Kobe there and Tim Thomas and obviously LeBron, and when Bassie went, and there's all these people there. I'm like, this is
At
big.
that point, were you covering stuff yourself, or did
No,
you
no, no,
like
no. They had
have
writers.
your team?
I didn't write. I was more
Right.
just like overseeing the business, making sure the covers were good. Um, but just
Getting those
building the
those
business. Yeah.
advertisers in there.
Yeah,
Right.
first 3 years. In '97, I launched Double XL. But for those first 3 years, we're just issue to issue. Who we gonna do next?
Mm.
Who we gonna do
Now,
next? Yeah.
when at what point do you guys kind of sell sell the magazine in terms of getting that big payday that you were entitled to because you built this from the ground, brick by brick? At what point do you make that decision?
Well, in 2000, we sold it to a company out in LA called Peterson Publishing.
Okay.
So they didn't know what to do with it. So they said, we're going to buy it. You're going to get a check, but you're going to still run it because we don't know anyone else that could run this like you. So I had a contract. I ran it forever. And then it was sold 5 more times throughout the years. And then always running it, never left it for a day. And then in 2017, the company that owned it was a company called TEN, TEN, wanted to divest and sell it. They weren't really investing in it. So I ended up buying it back with an investor, a company called JDS Sports. And we bought it back in 2017. And then we kind of reinvested in it. And now for the last 7 years, we kind of, built it back up to where, all the Instagram channels were big. Now it's 20 million followers. It's a much different business, a lot more social media driven. We still make the magazine. The cover is just as valid, just as important. Everybody wants to be on the cover of Slam to this day. So we have the best of both worlds. So, it's a big social media machine, YouTube, doing the whole thing. And then we went into merch, cover T-shirts. I mean, that's a
Right.
big leap, but that's kind of what happened.
Now, at what point did in terms of like the social media, when that started to kind of ramp up, were you guys kind of like quick to say, all right, yeah, let's get the Instagram page, or let's get at that point, Facebook or
Yeah,
Black Planet
no,
or whatever the social
we
media was
were.
at the time?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we were quick. but we were there. We jumped on Facebook. We were right there with Instagram, but we didn't really know what to run. We originally just ran beautiful pictures of basketball courts. And then because the magazine was still rocking, and then, so we had to adapt, but
Right.
it's very hard to adapt when you're really entrenched in print. So it's hard to transition. So we started bringing on new people. A guy named Lang Whitaker started doing our first website, but you had other people now jumping off doing just that. What was the thing called I think it was from Spain. What was it? Hoops Hype. I think that was it. That was one of
Right.
the first websites.
I'm familiar.
And I was like not laughing at them. I'm like, this is going to get really, really tight, really tough now. So we had to adapt, but we're really print. So it's very hard to transition, to do both, not lose the magazine, but jump ahead. So that was very tricky for a lot of years.
Do you feel like you had to kind of like reinvent once the social media started becoming prevalent?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. We really jumped off like 2017 when we got, brought it back. We were able to launch League Fits. We were able to launch W Slam, Slam Archive, Slam University. We were really able to diversify all the channels. So we
Right.
were very focused. Prior to that, it was just Slam, the magazine, and everything was inside of it. So luckily, we made that move, and all the channels are big unto themselves. So together, that's all Slam. So,
Right.
if you're into only women's basketball, got W Slam. You want to worry about, red carpet or, fashion, League Fits. And then Slam, of course, does all of it at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, how did you kind of, with your success, there's going to be others that kind of, and we won't mention anybody. And I can't even think of anybody off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's going to be competition. But how did you kind of differentiate Slam Magazine from any other sports publications when you first kind of when you launched it, and how has that kind of evolved over time?
Yeah. I mean, our first competitor was Dime. Shout out to Josh and Jed. They, you know, came at us pretty hard. They never caught up. I speak to Josh all the time. So, but they made us work harder. So it was good to have some competition. We were maybe, getting a little complacent. So we had them out there. There were some small things. Bounce came out, if you remember that. But we were so big and so honestly so good, and had a big jump start
Yeah,
from
it
what they
was
were
it was
doing.
tough.
So,
It was he had a big lead.
but we had a big lead on
He had
them,
a
but
big,
they
huge.
were good, and they could. And as we got bigger, they could take chances maybe that we couldn't.
Right,
So maybe I don't think we got safe, but we were newsstand driven. We had to make covers that would sell. So some issues didn't sell. Some, you put Mike on the cover, it's great. It always
right.
does well. Kobe later on. But we tried some crazy shit. We did Rafer at Fresno State. That sold very well. So it's very hard to tell what would sell and what wouldn't. We never had any real bombs,
Right.
but some when it sold well. I mean, our Cirque, well over 200,000 then. So it was big, really
Oh
big.
man,
So
I remember that Raper.
yeah, that Rafer, like
That
we
was
very rarely did college guys, but we love Skip. So we're like, try it. We were very, um, you know, we were
and it
very
was
risky.
controversial also
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
at that
No,
time the best point guard in the world,
yep, that you
he
never
was
heard of.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. No, so we took a lot of chances. So and we were very particular who would we cover. Not everybody got a cover. So I won't get into that. But
Right.
some people were pissed that they didn't get a cover. So we
Right.
were very not strict, but we had certain slam guys. We knew who we wanted to cover and who was worthy and who was not. So
Right.
yeah, it's cool.
So, I mean, you guys had a huge, a young high school kind of feel to your publication. What led to the decision to use high school basketball as a springboard for Slam's kind of the reinvention of Slam magazine, and how has that strategy kind of paid off? I know you got the Slam Summer Classic. You got and I can almost feel that was at that point it was almost like a reinvention
Exactly.
of Slam magazine. How what kind of went into that strategy, and moving forward, are you still kind of focused on that realm of the magazine?
Yeah, no, high school was like I said, earlier in our conversation. High
Right.
school was what it's about because for me personally, I want to see the guys that are next. I
Hmm.
don't really care about an NBA superstar. I know his story.
Right.
Slam is about storytelling. So when we did Stephon Marbury as an example, first issue number 2, first basketball diary, I wanted to watch Steph become and grow. Off to Georgia Tech, T Wolves draft, hangs out with KG, gets traded. So I want to follow that often used word journey. And it was the same thing with everybody. So, and also to grow with them and befriend them. And these are our guys. This is, you grow up on Slam. It's and it's endless from I remember Lamar Odom and Rafer Alston and Brandon Jennings. I speak to Brandon, like all these guys. We were first to cover every one of these dudes, everyone, and watch them. Felipe Lopez, he was in, I think he might have been in the first issue, at Rice and watching him, then go to McDonald's game and then off to St. John's and watching these guys grow to become, hopefully, most of them NBA superstars. And then the playground guys, we watch them. They chose maybe not or never made it, and Ali Mo and so on and so forth. And watching them and giving them the same amount of respect
Right.
and stories that other guys that Eric Barkley, and it's endless.
Right.
And watching them come up, and then the guys in LA and Detroit and Chicago and doing that whole thing. So now, same thing. Cooper Flag. I saw Cooper play at Montverde 2 years ago, in the layup line. He was a 10th grader, didn't even start. So, and that evolves into Cooper Flag doing his announcement at Duke in Slam. So watching all these guys go up. So when we bought it back in 2017, I finally had, like you said, it was not a rebrand, a refresh. We finally had some money. And then just one day, a couple of us, I'm like, got to do a game. You have to remember, Elite 24
Yeah.
was in the park up at Rucker first. And then they left that August spot. That's my
I think
guy.
they went to Brooklyn Bridge Park for.
Exactly. That was my
Yeah.
guy, Chris Stone, that used to work for me. So Stoney worked over at Under Armour, and he built the Elite 24 game. So when they kind of, stopped doing it, maybe 2016, I don't remember. I'm
Something
like,
like that.
there's a spot right there. Boom. Because in April, you got McDonald's and Jordan Iverson. Then in August, I got that window that Elite 24 did. I'm like, they're out. Let's just do it. And then we just went out, put it together. Our good friends over at Made Hoops helped us launch it, Chad and Kyle. and we got like an incredible, first group of players.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was, Sharif,
that,
Josh
that was incredible.
Christopher, bananas.
That now hold on,
Yeah,
Dennis.
go ahead. Go ahead.
For anybody that's watching this interview right now
Yep.
and has never seen the Slam Summer Classic, I'm talking about, that, especially that first one
That first one
was
was
just
2018, right? Yeah.
yeah, I think, yeah, 2018. I
2018.
mean,
August 2018. Yep.
at Dykeman, at
At
Dykeman.
Dykeman, correct.
And
Shout out Kenny Stevens. That's my guy.
shout out to Kenny Stevens.
Yes, sir.
But I want to say, you had all of the guys that people, again, that people couldn't see on a regular day, right? You
Yep.
had people from California, people from all over the country. I think Precious Achua played in that game.
Yep.
Josh Christopher.
Josh, Sharif.
Yeah.
Oh, what's my guy? Come on, man. From LA, played on the Pacers.
Cassius Stanley
Yeah,
played in
Cassius
that.
Stanley. Yep.
Yep.
Chet
Chet
Holmgren.
Holmgren played in that game.
Yeah,
It
no,
was just incredible. I
it was
mean, when you
crazy.
looked up to it was a standing room only.
The
It was
best.
everybody packed like sardines.
Yep.
Even when you looked on the rooftop of the
Everywhere. It
building,
was like old Rucker Park in the late
old
60s, man. No,
old Rucker
it was
Park.
crazy. Again, all those kids had never played outdoors in New York. So that was the big allure for them. Like, we're going to come and do that. And it was, it was just, we didn't really know. We're just winging it. So that was spectacular. One of the great moments in Slam history. And year 2 was even better. I can't remember. Noah Farrakhan. A lot of them came back.
Yeah. Some people came back.
They were juniors.
I think Josh Christopher came back.
Josh came back. Yeah.
There was
So
a bunch of guys.
yeah. No. So it was great.
But one thing that I need to say from a marketing standpoint,
Go ahead.
that was the absolute cherry on top, was the bus. And
Yes.
you got to tell me, what was the who decided to do that? You guys,
All of us, the whole team. Me, Adam Figman, who's now new CEO. I mean, all of us. We were just making the shit up.
right. So you
Yeah, I
guys
don't
had
know where the bus idea. I know I had a big part in that. I don't know where.
you had a double-decker bus, fully wrapped in the
wrapped
covers,
Slam bus. Yep.
in the Slam magazine covers.
Yep.
And you
All
guys
over.
took the kids around New York City. And that was the first time where I said, wow, this is like, these kids are rock stars right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was because social media was really popping. Actually, those couple years, I feel they're bigger then than they are now. It was what's the name? Come on, man, help me out. Oh, Jalen Green. It was mega.
Jalen Green, RJ Hampton, is that his name? Hampton?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So
they had huge followings.
Right.
Cassius, all those guys. So that the kids knew about them. And then, actually, what's the first year? Yeah, we stopped in Times Square and we had little TJ on the bus. So it was unbelievable, man.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I gotta say that
we were
because
making it up as we went.
And then even moving forward with the Ian Jacksons and the
and then later on, yep.
Right.
Well, we hit
Cooper
COVID,
Flag.
So we missed a year, and then we moved over to Rucker, because Dykeman was under renovation, and Rucker's a little bigger. So
and quite frankly, a little bit more history.
A little more history for sure. Although Dykeman is, one of the greatest parks in the world.
Absolutely.
For sure. I love Kenny. So that was just kind of how it happened.
Right.
But yeah, it's just a remarkable thing.
Now, Dennis, I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no, this is your part.
You touched on the covers, right? The magazine covers, man.
Yep.
Each cover is so iconic. I mean, you got so many to choose from, but are there any that kind of stand out as your favorite covers of all time, and why?
I was waiting for that question. Number one is for everybody. Allen Iverson's solo.
I knew you were gonna
I
say that.
think that was 1999. And that was a crazy day. I just did an interview with Iverson
Right, I saw
a few
that.
weeks ago, and we touched on that. Yeah, that was a long day. I think it was 8 hours late. We had the throwback idea with the old Mitchell and Ness joint.
With the
Um,
afro, you can't
the
forget the afro.
Afro. So we talked about it a few weeks ago. So he claimed it was his idea. We think it's our idea because we wanted him to do it like Dr. J. So
Right.
he said it's his idea. I'm like, fine, it's your idea. I don't care. So what happened though was his stylist that does his hair what didn't show up or missed or whatever. So he had to do it himself. So that slowed us down. But that cover is my favorite and the most iconic cover in slam history. But I have so many. Bassie and LeBron. I was at that shoot. That was at Hunter College. And you look at that now, and you're just like LeBron, Bassie. To me, Bassie, one of the best guards ever in New York. So what happened is unfortunate, but an amazing cover. Certainly, Stefan and KG,
Absolutely.
amazing cover. Clippers with Elton. What's that? Darius Miles and who am I missing? Elton, Darius Miles, and it'll come to me. So that Clippers cover was crazy.
Yeah, the
The
Clippers cover was
jerseys.
crazy.
I love the Marbury cover with no shirt on, wearing New Balances. I saw Steph a few weeks ago. We were cracking on that I'm like, what the fuck are these New Balance joints? So he was so far ahead, right? New Balances are hot last couple of years. He had them
Right.
20
Ahead
years
of
ago.
his time.
Yeah. So that I love that cover. A lot of LeBron covers. The LeBron logo cover, where he does we turned him into the logo. I'm just looking at my cover Bible now. Skip cover I loved.
Absolutely.
Jason Williams, white chocolate with the toothpick. Crazy.
It's so many.
So many. I mean, 250, 260 covers. I mean, I can't, lost count at this point.
How many episodes? I mean, how many not episodes, but magazines do you guys currently what like?
Oh, we
How
come
many?
out 6 times a year now, but we're doing multiple covers.
Okay.
So some issues might have 3 covers, 4 covers. And a lot of what we do is built around the cover T-shirts that we now make.
Right.
So we try and do a women's cover every issue. So you got that now. So you always may have, pretty much always every issue, something women related.
Right.
Try and do like not a high school guy, but maybe a college kid every month. And then you got your usual NBA suspects. So it was easier when we were monthly, but
Right.
at 6 times a year, so we got to kind of do multiple covers. But we've been doing multiple covers forever.
You mentioned the Stephon Marbury cover, right, in Coney Island. Did you?
Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
That was an incredible
Yep, that one. Yep.
cover
Yep.
also. But Dennis, you mentioned you just touched on something that I want to ask you about, and that's the kind of the expansion into women's basketball. What inspired you to kind of expand coverage of women's basketball, and how do you see it evolving in the coming years?
It's I think we launched W Slam as an Instagram channel maybe 2017, right after we bought it back. Might have been 2018. Just we saw it coming not to this degree,
Right.
but we were like, we've always done women. You know, we had the Shamiqua Holtzclaw. We've always had women covers. You know, and just had to give it the proper respect that it deserved.
Right.
So then once we got that rolling, um, we had Camille Buxita. I always mispronounce her name. So once she came on to run the channel, we had a voice in the room, and she was relentless. Like, you got to cover this one and that one. And then, you know, we saw Paige Beckers pop off in high school, and they pitched me on that cover, you know, first women's high school. I'm like, no fucking way, man. And then a few weeks later, I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's just do it. So that was groundbreaking. And then, you know, we've just started doing more and more as you get more voices in the room, and you go, and then you watch Caitlin and Angel happen, and you're like, let's keep it moving.
Yeah, right. Right.
Let's keep it moving. And just, we've done a lot, but now we've done a few issues of W Slam. There are actual issues called W Slam that are in print that we did in partnership with the WNBA. So they're out there. You know, we take it very seriously. So yeah, I mean, and we were right. Thank God.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, this 2024, you know, almost 2025.
Yep.
You know, we've already kind of we're you know, in this digital age now. How has Slam kind of adapted to its content strategy to remain relevant among younger audiences? Do you feel like you kind of keep, you know, continue to get younger, or you just kind of keep that healthy mix?
Yeah, no, you always, well, we have all the old heads like yourself.
You see the grays.
Hopefully grew up on it and stay with it. So you hope for that. But when I always did Slam from day one, I learned this from the sneaker companies, that the sweet spot for the basketball audience and players, I always wanted all the readers to be hoopers, not fans. I was like, I always used to say 98% of our readers play ball, you know, 6 times a week, 10 to whatever it was. So Nike, all the sneaker companies, sort of 12 to 18. So I'm like, I got to always be young. I always got to be young, do cool shit, stay young, stay young, stay young. So once social media popped off, I was like, all right, we just got to lean in harder to that. And then once we did then early on, like maybe 2017, midway 2017, after we bought it back, the first thing we launched was Slam High School, to get out in the mixtape world and
Right.
cover high school hard. A lot of kids didn't know us. You know, they were checking out Overtime, was new at that time. So Overtime was out in the gyms. So we had to play a little bit catch up. And now you got Slam High School, well over 1 million followers. So we really planted our flag. We are going to, ball is life. And so we need to be right there and competitive with them, hold on to the old heads and get the kids. Then once we did our game, that really solidified us,
Right.
with the high school kids. So we try and be, if you're 12 years old or 50, there's something at Slam for you to read and check out, whether it's in print, social media,
Now, what's the balance? And because I mean, yeah, even I struggle with this now, but with regards to myself, I'm a writer, so
Right.
I love to write. So, but as we kind of continued on, people were reading less and less. Do
Absolutely.
you think that's still the case? And
100%.
is the writing kind of dead at this point?
I don't think it's dead. I don't think kids read. It's a horrible generalization, and it's true. They're on their phones all day. I'm on my phone all day.
Right, right.
I'm a reader though. I read really long articles. The Athletic, Sports Illustrated is kind of dead at this point, but you throw 5,000 words at me, I'm a reader.
Right.
So I'm a voracious reader. But I think kids, no, I think they're on social media. So we need to be there in the same way. And I
No,
think
absolutely.
I know we do a good job of that. So we're competitive on all fronts. Um, I don't even know if the old dudes want to read a long article. I mean, that's how I
Right.
grew up. But so we do it. Our articles are shorter than they used to be, but we try and have a balance. But we lead with social media, and then we lead with the cover.
Right.
The cover is sort of what we call, the hub of the wheel. It is our foundation of the business. When you
Right.
think about magazines or you think about media, I like to say that covers, the cover of Slant is crazy, but a lot of people, hate on me for this remark, but I use it a lot. The cover of Slam, the cover of GQ, the cover of Vogue, cover of Rolling Stone back in the day. These are still really important moments. And we just dropped the cover with Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper.
Dylan
The
Harper,
Vikings
right.
cover. It's still a big deal. They sat down, spent a lot of time with us, so it's important. It's a I would say it's almost a rite of passage. But if you're a young hooper coming up, I think you still want that cover. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, I did. You guys just dropped that not too long ago,
yeah. That
right?
was what's today? Friday, maybe Wednesday or Tuesday. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah.
Now, what are your? I mean, you already kind of for lack of better words, the old the old guys in in terms of the publication, the magazine field, right? You're the kind of the grandfather, so to
Right.
speak. But what are your longer term goals for Slam Magazine moving forward, and where do you see it in the next kind of like 5 to 10 years? Like just kind of you know,
Yeah, it's a good question. We really, I think, keep growing on social media. I think we have a really good formula. I like to do more events, more games, but that's a crowded space.
right,
So just more events. Not necessarily games per se. I like to get one more game done, but experiential moments. Probably lean more into women's
right,
super hot. So maybe I'm not saying a girls' game, but maybe something around women's hoops. Um, we'll see how that 3-on-3 thing, the what's it called? Unrivaled. We'll see how that thing goes. But leaning more to women's and just keeping it moving.
right,
Things
right.
change so fast. But I see the magazine living on. I see the cover as valid as ever. And as I think, long as we have that, it will always matter. Whether it's another 30 years, that I can't speak to that. It would be
Right,
nice.
right.
It would be nice.
Right.
I have no idea.
Now, as we close in on the hour mark, man, I do have one last question for you, Dennis. If you could define the legacy of Slam Magazine in one sentence, what would it be and why? Why do you think it matters today?
I use this a lot. When Slam, this might be two sentences. I don't know, a little run on.
It's all good.
When Slam started, we were covering basketball culture. And I think once we hit year 3, 4, 5, I say the defining moment for us was the Soul on Ice cover with Allen Iverson. Once we hit that mark, let's call it 5 years later, we became part of the culture. We were no longer on the outside looking in, but we were on the inside and not as important as players. Never, never. I would never say that. But we became a significant, influential part of basketball culture.
And that's not going anywhere.
That
That's the
I don't think that is going anywhere. Like in my speech at the Hall of Fame, um, I quote Jay-Z. I don't know if you heard the speech, but leave a mark that they can't erase. And I think that's what we've done.
Oh man, Dennis Page, the legendary Dennis Page. I really appreciate your time. This has been a remarkable interview for me. Kind of a full circle moment for myself as well.
Yeah.
Like I told you before, being that kid, kind of jumping to the newsstand and breaking open the latest Slam magazine, and reading those articles, looking at those photos, and just one day dreaming of kind of establishing my own foot in the game. And here we are, having a conversation. So again, congratulations on the all of the accolades, the Hall of Fame nod, and thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. But again, man, I thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to chop it up with me, man.
My pleasure. Long overdue. No, I love
Right.
everything you're doing. I don't want to mention any of your competitors, but shout out to Dave's Joint
Now
and
that's family.
no, all of you
You-
guys. I'm seriously, I love you all. I won't say you're like my children of slam, but I love it all, and it keeps me connected.
right.
What's it? New York Point Guards and all that stuff. I eat that shit up all day. I'm on it. I love all your interviews, and I know I maybe missed a few, but everybody that's in all the parks, in high school gyms, shooting, interviewing, it keeps it alive,
Right.
and it's all part of it. It's the tree, and it's just good for the game. It's I know it's hard. It's hard to get big now, but
Yeah, and social media.
it's hard. I
It's
know
crazy.
there's so much competition,
Right.
but there's a lot of people that love the game, and for me, I love seeing it. I follow you. I give you likes, comments. No, it all matters. So it was a lot easier in the beginning. Let's put it. Wasn't easy. It was never easy. I
Right.
have a
Right.
big
Now I get you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you have a lot more competition now. That's the hard part. I didn't have much.
Right. Right. I think it's been a little bit watered down, if you don't,
Yeah, no, no,
for lack of better words,
absolutely.
but yeah, a lot more difficult to kind of
Breakthrough.
break ground, break through. Right. Right.
Yeah. No, I
But
see it.
the passion and the love of the game is what keeps me going. And these interviews, and getting to speak to guys like yourself, and others that have afforded me some time to speak to them. That's what kind of keeps me going. So I really thank you from the bottom of my heart.
No, I appreciate you, man. It's all keep it moving. Don't stop. It's good for the game and keeps New York basketball alive. Definitely slipping a bit, so we gotta keep New
You
York.
gotta, yeah,
Yeah,
you
keep
gotta
New York
keep.
popping, man. Keep the kids home, and just
Hey, I'm on your heels, Dennis. I'm on your heels, man. I'm gonna be the next Hall
let's
of
go.
Famer.
I hope so. I hope in 30 years I'll see you up there. I hope
Hey,
I'm
man,
around in 30 years to see it. I would love
you
it.
will be. You will be, man. Love is love, man. I appreciate you,
Always,
and
always.
I'll speak to you soon. All right.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
No doubt. No doubt. Ah, a legendary interview right there, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure that you know what I'm saying, you see the merch right here. You see the just everything, man. Support your boy. I really appreciate everybody reading the articles, liking the photographs, the videos, sharing the content. It really does, it really keeps me going. So much appreciate everybody out there who takes a second to to show some love. And with that, I'm out of here. Till next time, we're gonna bring you another legend. I don't know if it's gonna be as legendary as Dennis Page, but we're gonna keep it going. And we out of here. Thank you.